But my question today is, I have a baby in the belly.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of battling with two different things. Like, my partner thrives in solitude and aloneness and really wants to just
feel good.
Thrives in solitude, I'll say that. But I have this wide open personality, and I love interaction and co-creation and like togetherness. And
fortunately, he's not the only person on the planet. You can spend a lot of time with a lot of other people.
Okay. So
you can satisfy your desires without dragging him into something that he doesn't like. Yeah?
Okay, well, so it's a little different.
Are you saying to him, you're the only one that I ever want to spend any time with, and since you don't like the things that I like, one of us has to be miserable? It's either you or me. Or are you saying, here we are, rendezvousing on so many wonderful points, like having a baby. Here we are rendezvousing on so many wonderful points. Does it have to be everything? That's conditional living, you know.
True. It doesn't feel good. And because it doesn't feel good to me, like, I don't want to...
So tell us, which of your thoughts about this does not feel good?
Having a partner that I can't communicate with, and having a partner that is so distant and disconnected from me.
And when something doesn't feel good to you, what do you know that to mean? It means that your inner being isn't looking at it that way. Mm-hmm. So when you're having thoughts in your mind, or you're saying them to him, that he feels distant to you, the discord means you don't want him to feel distant. It also means that in your right now determination from what you've been observing that he is distant, that you are in complete opposition to what you are wanting while you are feeling that way. Is there anything about your relationship with him that when you focus upon it you feel good?
I feel that both of us together have so much to bring to this baby.
But beyond that, that's in the future. We're talking about right now, because that's what's happening. Your awareness of the things about him that have been sort of uncomfortable for you is now amplified by the fact that now there's going to be a baby there. So you're exaggerating the discomfort. Mm-hmm. What we want you to do is identify the things that feel good and exaggerate those things, because it's not only that it's unfair to any other to need them to be some way that they're not. It's disempowering to you, and that's what your discomfort is about. It's like saying, I need you to be a way different than you are and different than I believe you're ever going to be in order for me to feel good. And that is the ultimate feeling of powerlessness. And the reason it feels so awful is because your inner being knows how ridiculous it is. Mm-hmm. That your happiness and your stability and your well-being is not dependent upon what anybody else is doing in any moment in time.
Well, so, like, I know better, right? I know that I'm not trying to get us to be exactly the same. Like, be exactly how you want to be, and I want to do the same. But the difference for me is that, like, they're completely different.
Our question to you is, are you making any conscious effort at making yourself feel good about that point? Or are you using it always as a sore point for you? And this is what we mean by this. When you said, your word may not have been solitude, but it was something like that. Solitude. And we said, good. Because we are seeing his desire to feel good as a good thing. You're seeing it as a rejection of you. We're seeing his wanting to be someplace where he can be in his alignment and his power as a good thing. You're seeing it as him not being willing to stand in the middle of a muddle or a mess with you. There are ways that you could look at what he's doing as strength, not as trying to beat you up. We are certain that he is not staying away from you in order to punish you. He's just shoring up his own connected resources. There are people who are happiest when they are involved in a conversation. Esther and her daughter, they would be happy to be in an all-day long conversation about every single thing that each of them are living in any point in time. Their pleasure and enjoyment of each other is that supreme. But they both have a lot of other things that they are doing in the day other than that. And so they thrive in that situation. Some people, not so much. Jerry was very solitude. He was very quiet about so many things. He was off doing his thing. Esther was off doing her thing. But never did she assume that because he was in there doing what he wanted to do, that he was doing the things that made him happy, that it was a rejection of her happiness, or that something had gone wrong in their relationship. You see, you come together and you look for the positive aspects of one another. And that's how you hook up with your own inner being, who always and only looks for the positive aspects in each of you, you see. So this notion that for you to be happy, he's got to be different, and what can you do about it? He's not going to be different. In fact, that's the greatest gift that he could ever give to you. I'm not going to stand on my head so that you can be in alignment. Because if I fall into that and I put you in that conditional trap where your happiness is dependent on what I do, then when I do the things that I must do, the many things that I must do, then you are certain for a lot of unhappiness, because we're not going to be side by side every step of the way, all day, every day. And if you can look at it that way and just appreciate all of the things that are so harmonious between you and not need him to conditionally be a certain way in order for you to feel good, you'll thrive, he'll thrive, your baby will thrive. The very hardest thing for a little one to experience is a mother who's unhappy at his father. That's very hard for kids, or other way around. That's hard on them, because he wants with everything he is to love both, you see. And so it gets a little tricky when you ask anyone to side with you against anyone else. And of course, that's not your plan. But unless you're lined up, that usually is the way it turns out, because you can't hide your disapproval or your disappointment. You want to get over it before this baby gets here, you see. Helpful? Not really.
I guess it's so frustrating for me because, mind you, I just want to say that it's a female. She.
Yeah.
Like, let's say, for instance, now her grandmother just passed away and she's currently at the funeral, but requested that I not come because she handles grief on her own, like in private. And to me, it's like, I just want to be there. I would want someone to be there for me if my grandmother passed away, and to not be there for her or be, I don't know, it just feels...
You're in an emotional time, and you have some things that you want to come into resolution with. But the most important thing that we want to say to you is, if you've decided that you're going to analyze what just those up close around you, we started to say everyone, but it's not, it's just those up close around you want, and compare them to what you would want, and then try to reconcile why they want something different than you want, and then to torture yourself about it, you're not ever going to be happy, because everybody's approaching things in their own way, you see. And so what you really want is just to be happy. You don't want to change something in order to be happy. You just want to be happy. There isn't anything that you want, whether it's a relationship or money or an experience. There isn't anything that you want for any other reason that you want to be happy. And so it takes some moving through life. Maybe you haven't lived enough life that you're willing to resign that. Maybe it hasn't been miserable enough long enough for you, trying to please people that you can't please and get them to do what you think they need to do. Maybe you need more misery before you will give that up. We think you all ought to give it up today. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.